Welcome back. Governor Ron DeSantis and the state's chief financial officer, Blaise Ingoglia, recently released a report criticizing a number of cities and counties with what they claimed was waste, fraud, and abuse. Buzzwords made famous by Elon Musk. DeSantis created his own DOGE task force, and one of the targets was Broward County, which he criticized because it spent $890,000 since 2020 on DEI training. First, it's important to note that once the Florida legislature outlawed DEI training, Broward stopped, so it's not even an issue anymore. And as we saw with Elon Musk and the federal level, the goal doesn't really seem to be rooting out waste, fraud, or abuse, as much as it is attacking policies they don't like. This week, I spoke to Broward County Commissioner Stephen Geller about what the governor is doing.
I think the governor is staking his political future on being the guy that eliminated property taxes, and therefore he is trying to doge everybody to say how horrible free spending governments are. And I can't speak for governments outside of Broward County, but I can say he's wrong about Broward County. Let me elaborate. The governor has said that Broward County's budget is around $9 billion and that property taxes are around $1.8 billion, meaning it's only around 20%. And since Broward is this horribly overspending government, we can just tighten our belts and eliminate property taxes because it's only 20% of our budget, and we wouldn't defund the police or anything else. The governor is fundamentally wrong. The chief financial officer recognizes that the real number is only $2 billion, which is our general revenue fund. And that's where we pay for police, parks, libraries, and everything else. And if it's $2 billion, you can't take $1.8 billion out of it, which is what we would lose from property taxes, without defunding the police and eliminating parks and libraries. I did not vote to defund the police when the Black Lives Matter group asked us to, and I'm not going to vote to defund the police when Governor DeSantis asks us to.
It seems as if a lot of what the governor and the chief financial officer want to hone in on really are not issues of waste, fraud, and abuse, which has just become this catch-all phrase to just encompass anything and everything that the governor or the CFO or in the national level, the case of the president, simply don't like as a matter of policy. And they cite in the case of Broward County that you spent about $890,000 on DEI training since 2020. Now, again, Ron DeSantis may not think that DEI training is good or important or has any place in it, but you know, in Broward, you may feel differently. And if the voters don't agree with you that that's a proper use of money, they would vote you out. How much of this do you think is just simply policy differences based on political ideology?
I think it's all policy differences. I don't believe I could be elected statewide if I was running for governor. And I don't believe that Governor DeSantis or Chief Financial Officer Ingoglia could win a seat on the Broward County Commission. That doesn't mean that our priorities are wrong, doesn't mean that their priorities are wrong. It means that the local voters who elected us in Broward County should be able to make their own choices. You mentioned one. I'm going to skip the DEI because that's the most complicated one. The other two examples he gave was one, something that implied we'd sent money to the United Nations. The United Nations passed something on the status of women. Broward County hired FIU to do a study on the status of women. We sent our money not to the United Nations, but to FIU to do a study. to see if there was unfair discrimination or racial or sexual violence against women, and to see what steps we could take. The other thing he gave an example of was we spent some money to put our public art projects on the metaverse so people could take a look at that.
Let me just jump in. It was $175,000. And essentially, as I understand it from looking at it myself, it was a way in which if you were homebound or if you lived outside of Broward County and wanted to sort of explore the cultural aspects of Broward County and some of its art exhibitions, that is available to you by using that technology so that you could see it.
That is completely correct. That's completely correct. Let me say two quick things. Number one, art helps bring in tourists to Broward County, art and culture. And number two, when I'm trying to recruit CEOs of large national companies to move here, one of the things that they always ask is, do you have a symphony? Do you have museums? Do you have theater? We're putting out on the internet to show that we have these things. These are economic development agents, and the governor should not be disagreeing with those. Those do reflect Broward County values.
Why do you think he's
By the
going
way,
after
the
Broward
governor
County?
and the CFO have different ways of calculating this. You need to be aware. The governor is saying we have a $9 billion budget. The CFO is correctly saying it's $2 billion.
But again, just to stick for that for a second, the amount that you collect in property taxes is about 1.8 billion. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
And that 2 billion, of that 2 billion, what percentage of that goes to police and fire, public safety issues?
According to a letter from Attorney General Rothmeyer to our sheriff, it's 56%. It's definitely in the low to mid 50s, depending on what you include. If you're including 911, for example, which I think you should, our 911 technology, but it's well over 50%. So there is no way, if we have a $2 billion general revenue budget, of which $250 million is reserves, and we get 1.8 billion in property taxes, and we're sending, the majority of that, of the 1.8, we're spending on police, fire, first responders. It's impossible to eliminate property taxes and not defund the police and fire, period. End of story.
This notion of going after Broward County in particular, the governor has visited, has railed against Broward County. Why do you think he's focused so heavily on Broward County, on Jacksonville, on Orlando? What do you think the common denominator is there?
Broward County is the largest Democratic county in the state of Florida. The day the governor announced DOGE, before he had done anything, he issued a press release on Broward County overspending before he had any bit of data. I mean, the legislature keeps passing unfunded mandates down to the county, making us do additional things. The homeless, we have to spend more on homelessness now than we used to, because the legislature passed a law that said if a business has somebody in front of them, a homeless person, and they complain and local government doesn't do something about it, they could sue local government and get damages. So the cities and counties are having to put more money into places to locate the homeless or to arrest them. So that's costing us more money. Legislature didn't give us any money for that. They need to stop passing mandates on local government that cost us more money and then complain that we're spending more money, which is what they're doing. We didn't do that nearly as much during the 20 years I was in the legislature. When I was there, it seemed like we treated local governments as our friends and partners representing the same people. Over the past 10 years or 15 years, it's got to seem more like the state is treating local government like the enemy, and I don't understand why.
Next week, I'm sitting down with the state's new CFO, Blazin Galia, to get his perspective. You can see that interview next Sunday. We'll be right back after the break.